Christmas week is usually quiet. Markets slow down. Newsrooms thin out. Attention drifts toward family, food, and end-of-year reflection. And that's exactly why the announcement slipped through almost unnoticed. On December 25th, 2025, while most people were unplugged, a proposal landed that sounded like science fiction, but was filed with very real intent. HGP Intelligent Energy wants to recycle retired U.S. Navy nuclear reactors, specifically from aircraft carriers, to power next-generation AI data centers in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Estimated cost, $2 billion. Estimated impact, potentially redefining how artificial intelligence is powered in the United States. This wasn't a flashy press conference. It was a calculated reveal, and the implications are enormous. Let's start with the core idea, because it's as radical as it sounds. The U.S. Navy operates some of the most robust, reliable nuclear reactors ever built. Aircraft carriers run for decades without refueling, powering floating cities, radar systems, weapons, and propulsion under extreme conditions. When these carriers are retired, the reactors are defueled, secured, and effectively mothballed as highly controlled nuclear assets. HGP's proposal asks a disruptive question. Instead of burying that capability in long-term storage, why not repurpose it? Why not take reactors designed for wartime reliability and use them to power the most energy-hungry civilian technology on Earth? Artificial intelligence. This is where Oak Ridge enters the picture, and it's not accidental. Oak Ridge is a nuclear ground zero for American science. Born from the Manhattan Project, it has been the quiet backbone of U.S.-wide nuclear research, advanced material science, and high-performance computing for decades. Some of the world's fastest supercomputers already live there. Pairing Oak Ridge with recycled Navy reactors isn't just symbolic, it's strategic. It says this project isn't about novelty, it's about infrastructure, legacy, and scaling something America already knows how to do. Now let's talk about why AI is driving this conversation at all. Artificial intelligence doesn't just consume electricity, it devours it. Training large models, running inference at scale, maintaining uptime for hyperscale data centers, it all requires constant, dense, uninterrupted power. Renewables help, but they fluctuate. Batteries help, but they add cost and complexity. Gas is reliable, but politically and environmentally contentious. Nuclear, on the other hand, offers something AI desperately needs: stable baseload power, 24 hours a day, regardless of weather or grid stress. The problem has always been time and cost. New nuclear plants take too long to build. HGP's proposal tries to shortcut that by using reactors that already exist. If you're still with me, pause for a second and really think about what's being suggested here. This isn't building a new reactor. This isn't waiting 10 or 15 years. This is recycling proven nuclear hardware, designed with absurd safety margins and giving it a second life. In a world obsessed with sustainability, this might be the most literal form of recycling imaginable, turning instruments of military power into engines of digital intelligence. Of course, the word Navy reactor triggers immediate concerns: safety, regulation, public perception, and those concerns are real. Naval reactors are governed by some of the strictest protocols on the planet. The Navy's nuclear program has an almost unmatched safety record, built on redundancy, discipline, and training. But transferring that technology into a civilian context is not trivial. HGP's proposal doesn't downplay this, it leans into it. The plan reportedly includes keeping the reactors under federal oversight with Navy-grade safety systems, but operated in a stationary land-based environment that's actually less stressful than life at sea. No saltwater corrosion, no combat maneuvers, no sudden power spikes from flight operations. In theory, this makes the reactors even safer than their original mission. Now let's engage directly for a moment, because this is where opinions split. Some people hear this idea and think it's genius. Others hear it and think it's insane. And that split is exactly why this story matters. Every major energy transition starts this way. Hydroelectric dams were once seen as reckless, Nuclear power itself was once unthinkable for civilian use. Even data centers were once considered fringe infrastructure. Radical ideas don't ask for permission, they force conversations, real ones. The $2 billion price tag also deserves attention. In the world of AI and infrastructure, $2 billion is significant, but it's not outrageous. Hyperscale data centers routinely cost billions. Advanced AI training clusters burn through capital at astonishing rates. When you frame the cost against decades of reliable power, the economics start to shift. Instead of paying forever for fuel, grid upgrades, and backup systems, you invest upfront in a power source that was literally designed to run nonstop for years. The question becomes less about cost and more about courage. And courage is exactly what's being tested here. Because if HGP's proposal moves forward, it sets a precedent. Other retired reactors suddenly become assets instead of liabilities. Other AI hubs start asking similar questions. And regulators are forced to confront a future where nuclear power isn't centralized in massive plants, but embedded directly into digital infrastructure. That's a paradigm shift. There's also a national security dimension that's impossible to ignore. AI is not just a commercial race, it's a geopolitical one. Whoever controls the most capable, reliable AI infrastructure gains enormous leverage in economics, defense, and innovation. Power availability is rapidly becoming a strategic bottleneck. By anchoring AI development to domestically controlled nuclear assets, the U.S. reduces dependence on fragile grids and foreign energy sources. In that sense, recycled Navy reactors don't just power servers, they extend strategic autonomy. Here's another moment to lean in. Ask yourself this: what happens if this works? Not hypothetically, practically. Oak Ridge becomes a model, a place where AI, nuclear science, and national infrastructure converge. The stigma around nuclear energy softens. The conversation shifts from fear to function. And suddenly, nuclear isn't the past. It's the backbone of the future digital economy. But let's be honest, there are obstacles. Legal frameworks weren't built for this. Public outreach will matter. Transparency will matter. Trust will matter. HGP isn't just proposing a technical solution. They're proposing a cultural one, convincing people that a reactor once powering an aircraft carrier can safely power an AI cluster requires more than engineering. It requires narrative. And Christmas week might have been the perfect time to quietly introduce that narrative without triggering immediate backlash. Another layer worth exploring is symbolism. Aircraft carriers represent American hard power. AI represents emerging soft power. This proposal bridges the two. It says yesterday's dominance can fuel tomorrow's intelligence. Literally, few ideas capture the continuity of national capability as cleanly as that. As the news slowly circulates beyond industry circles, expect debate to intensify. Environmental groups will weigh in. Local communities will ask questions. Lawmakers will posture. But beneath the noise, one fact remains unchanged. The energy demands of AI are not slowing down. They're accelerating, and conventional solutions are struggling to keep up. When systems are stressed, unconventional ideas gain traction. Let's engage one last time before we close, because this is where you as a viewer matter. Whether you support or oppose this idea, you're watching the early stages of a decision that could shape the next 20 years of technology infrastructure. These are the moments that seem small at first, buried in holiday news cycles, only to be referenced later as turning points. Recycled Navy reactors powering AI data centers sounds radical today, but so did nuclear submarines, so did civilian nuclear power, so did cloud computing. Progress doesn't ask whether something feels comfortable, it asks whether it works. And right now, HGP Intelligent Energy has done something powerful. They've put a bold option on the table at exactly the moment the world is running out of easy answers. Whether this plan moves forward or not, it signals a deeper truth. The future of AI won't just be written in code. It will be written in steel, uranium, policy, and courage. Christmas week 2025 may end up being remembered not for what people celebrated, but for what quietly began.